Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Brenda's Musings. So today I want to talk to you about, whether or not you notice the little things as you're walking around or going through your day. So for example, today my husband and I went out for a ride in one of our cars. And, I was looking around at the town and, blah, blah, blah. And I happened to glance up at the sky. And the clouds were amazing. There was like 4 different types of clouds. they were like, some of them were like 3D cotton balls suspended in the air, and other ones were like gray cotton balls suspended in the air. And there was like these high stratus clouds, and then there was these, I don't even know what they're called. I'm looking out the window now. I don't even know what they're called. I can't remember what they're called. I'm trying to remember grade 7 geography. But they were almost like pans of land, right? And at one point, everything was like standing still, and it was amazing. And then, half an hour later, I look at the clouds, and they're like zooming by, but they're zooming by at different speeds. Like the lower, sort of suspended looking clouds were going by really quickly, whereas the higher clouds were not going quite as quickly. And I don't know, it was just amazing just to notice all of that detail in clouds. And it wasn't even like they were looking like anything in particular. None of them were that kind of cloud. And, I sort of made a post, I think, on Facebook, and I said, if you're outside, like, look up, the clouds are fantastic. And, and of course, depending on what area of town you were in, they look different. But, yeah, it was, so then it got me thinking, how many things do we pass by in our day that are really just amazing? The other day I was out doing a dancing thing on the deck, and I noticed this spider, and he was spinning his web, and just or she maybe, I'm thinking about Charlotte's Web, and she was spinning this web, and it was, so intricate and so strong, and yet so delicate. Like one hand, I could just wipe the whole thing away. And then there's these beautiful patterns, and a lot of spiders' webs look similar, but they're all a little bit different. It's almost like snowflakes sometimes. Excuse me. And, I started looking around at some of the other spider webs that were around. Like this is like a crazy time of spiders for us right now. I mean, they've been out all summer, but it's like they've all had babies now, and all the babies are spinning webs. And, I remember spending one day in the garden for about an hour just watching bumblebees. Not just bumblebees, bumblebees and honeybees, really, both, landing on the flowers and collecting the nectar and just going about doing their own thing and being focused on what they were doing, and nothing else seemed to matter to them. It didn't matter what the wind was like. It didn't matter that I was standing right there. It didn't matter. Like, nothing mattered. They were, as far as I know what was going on in their head, who knows? but they were busy, right? And they were doing their thing, and I was doing my thing, just watching them. And, those little things that we just, usually we're just so busy in our day, all that stuff happens right underneath our nose, and we don't know it, Ants marching, one by one. I don't know, just so many things, particularly when it comes to outdoors. And then even indoors, like, I don't notice things often. And there are things that I've put there, like, pencils. Oh, some of those pencils are really sharp, and some of those pencils need to be sharpened. And some of those pencils, oh, look at that color pencil. I didn't know I had got that color pencil. Like zing, zing, zing. Okay, my mind's going a little bit crazy now. But I think it takes us being present and not rushing around to really stop and take stock of the small things that are happening around us. And, we think that none of it matters really in the long scheme of things. Whether my pencil's sharpened or not probably doesn't matter until I go to use it. But you think about, bees and honey and pollination and how that's so important to our planet, and how we just sort of take it for granted. At least we have until fairly recently, when we've been made aware of, how important bees are. and how we're destroying them, destroying their habitations. So anyway, my mind's racing, as you can tell. That's my musing for the day. Have a great one, everyone.